They're coming here to the combine, and in one sense, they're in a great spot because they don't want a quarterback in round one. And there are two quarterbacks that are going to go in the top 10 who certainly wouldn't have gone in the top 10 last year. Cam Ward, Shadur Sanders. Maybe one of them is going to be really good. I think Cam Ward's pretty good. But these are guys that would have been second round picks last year. So they're going to go top 10. And that means that at 11, the Niners almost certainly will get a top 10 prospect. It's great news. Problem is, the best player available for the Niners could be a tight end. Tyler Warren from Penn State, Colston Loveland from Michigan, or it could be a running back, Ashton Genty from Boise State, or it could be a wide receiver. And you always want to take the best player available, but technically those positions I just listed, maybe not the wide receiver because the Niners really do need one if they trade their two starters. But let's say they want to take one of the tight ends or the running back. Those are what you call luxury picks. And if the Niners hadn't traded 3 firsts and a third for Trey Lance and they had spent those draft picks wisely, then they could take that tight end there. But the Niners don't have the luxury of taking a tight end in round one because they've neglected the trenches for so long. The Niners really do have to draft for need. And it's their fault. They painted themselves in this corner. They can't just say, you know what? It doesn't matter that we screwed up all our final previous drafts. We're not even going to acknowledge the past. We're just going to take this tight end and say he was BPA. No, they can't do that. Because that's like a glitzy pick when you need meat and potatoes. It's like you're malnourished, you're starving, and you go to Safeway and get dessert. You can't do it. We need meat and potatoes here. Oatmeal. You got to draft oatmeal in round one. No luxury pick. The one I will say, though, let's talk about wide receiver. So if the Niners trade Ayuk away, which they should and probably will, Debo's gone. Debo's been replaced. Pearsall is the new Debo, the starting Z receiver who can move into the slot. Ayuk was the split end. That's a guy who can line up in like a 3-by-1 formation. You have your bunch of 3 receivers to one side and your split receiver to the other side. That was never Debo. That was Ayuk, a guy who can win one-on-one against a guy, the top corner on the team playing press man covers. It's not Debo. It's not Pearsall. It's Ayuk. And when Ayuk went down, it became Jennings. And Jennings had a hell of a year, but let's face it, he's not really a true X receiver because an X receiver needs to threaten a defense vertically. And Jennings doesn't. Now, he can run deep and jump and maybe make a contested catch 25 yards downfield, but he's the slowest wide receiver in football. He's much better in the slot. Much better in the slot. Hell of a player, though. So if the Niners trade Ayuk, they really do have a need for an X receiver, a split end. And I don't know that the top split end in the draft will be available for the 49ers. But if he is, I think Kyle Shanahan is going to have a very hard time not taking him, even though they need a defensive lineman, because it's Kyle, and this guy's incredible. Ted McMillan, call him T-Mac from Arizona. He's that good. I've seen him talk. I've watched his film. I've talked to people about him. He's the real deal. He is a young Mike Evans, not Calvin Johnson, but a young Mike Evans. He's 6'5". He has an incredible catch radius. He's fast. He could be a true X receiver. He could replace Brandon Ayuk. He could replace Jawan Jennings, and I think he's a great fit with Brock Purdy, who is a terrific quarterback. But what makes him terrific is his combination of skills, how he's more of a dual threat than you give him credit for. He's not Drew Brees, a guy who stands in one place and has immaculate, incredible ball placement. That's not really Brock Purdy. I mean, he's not Joe Montana hitting people like in an exact spot in the jersey between the numbers 2 feet out in front. That's not Brock Purdy. He benefits from wide receivers and tight ends who have bigger catch radiuses and can adjust a little bit to a pass that's a little high or a little behind. And there's no shame in that. And that's why he is so prone to throw to Jennings or Kittle. Those have been his favorite targets. And even Ayuk, although he's 6 foot tall, has the arm length of someone who's 6'5". So consistently, even going back to college when Brock Purdy was with Iowa State, he's always been very comfortable throwing downfield to much bigger targets. So if T-Mac, Ted McMillan, is there at number 11, I just don't see how Kyle Shanahan could resist. And if he doesn't and he takes him, I'd even probably give him a good grade, even though, once again, it's a bit of a luxury pick and you need to be addressing the trenches. He's just that freaking good. Something to think about. Although, maybe fortunately for the 49ers, I think he's so good that he probably won't be there at pick 11. Him, the cornerback Will Johnson, just great players that you don't really need, but they play premium positions. And if they're there at 11, it's like, man, I got to take this seriously. But I don't think either player will be there at 11, which means the Niners can focus on meat and potatoes in round one.